Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud Course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. Before starting, if you enjoyed this content, if you learned something out of it, giving it a like and a subscribe, it's a free way to support the channel as I can create more content like this. Now going into the track guide itself, for turn 1 my reference for braking is slightly past this number 3 cone. So afterwards, almost in the middle of the distance between the third cone and the first cone, I'm applying the brakes around here, and what I want to do is to downshift very quickly to third, to arrive at third gear quickly enough, so around here before getting at the curb. Because the more steering angle you have when your downshift is happening, the more you will lose the rears. So you want to rotate the car, of course, but you don't want to overdo it to the point that the rear will slide too much. You will just lose speed into the corner. So arriving at third gear, forcing the downshift to third quickly, it's the way to go. Now in terms of the line, I just want to exploit the curb as much as I can. So notice that I'm almost taking the curb in the middle of the car. Cut as much as you can here, put the throttle 0 to 100, even before touching the curb, and then you will just use all the exit like this. Now for turn 2, this might be a bit tricky. Braking point is, again, like in turn 1, in the middle of number 2 and number 1. So after number 2 right now, you see we have number 1 here, and I'm braking actually at number 1. I'm quite surprised. I was thinking that I was braking in between them, so it seems like I'm braking at number 1. In terms of approach here, it's the same thing, but with a small catch. So you want to downshift quickly to third, but whenever you're doing the downshift to second, you have to delay it just a bit because the car won't rotate as much. So you want to force the rotation. It's similar in the way that we're thinking about the downshift, but it's different because we want to delay here a bit the downshift to second so that we can get the rear snapping like this. And immediately we're gonna put the throttle down, we're gonna cut this curb as much as we can, and there's a lot of time to be gained by doing this. So brake late, brake not that hard, delay your downshift to second gear, and then cut the inside curb as much as you can. And when going on throttle, super important 0 to 100 to go very quickly. Now for this next corner, the breaking point for me is whenever this sands or the gravel trap on the right side at number 2 ends. I'm gonna brake slightly past it, so right now I'm applying the brakes. And I just want to position the car and go diagonally towards the braking so that I can take this curb in the middle of the car. So you see, you don't want to have either the left or the right tires on this curb because it will make your braking a bit less inefficient. So obviously we want to avoid it, but at the same time we want to open the track as much as we can so that we have a larger radius into the corner. So this is the maximum that you can use, since if you will go a bit more on the right, you will have your left tires on this curb and that's not gonna be ideal. Now in terms of braking, you want to brake quite hard and hold the brakes, but when downshifting to second gear, you want to release the brakes more because you don't want to understeer because you have too much load on the front, so you don't want to overheat the front tires and trigger the ABS. Instead, you just want to keep it in such a way that you're trailing with, you see, 8-10 percentages right now. We want to cut this curb, and immediately when we are at the curb, we're gonna press the throttle quite aggressively. And now while going to the exit, it's important to know that this little square here of gravel trap, this is gonna give you a 1x. So what I'm doing right now, and generally you won't do this, but because it's this off track around here, you will force your steering wheel towards the left. So look what's happening. Look at my steering wheel, forcing it to the left, barely cutting it, and now immediately I'm straightening it up. Because the more time you're traveling with your steering wheel angled, you will scrub speed, you will lose speed. So you just want to force the car on the left to avoid that off track, and then immediately put the steering wheel straight so that you won't scrub speed. That's the best approach. Now for this corner right here, you can brake quite late, so you can brake under the bridge like I'm doing right now. You don't want to brake very hard, you want to downshift to second gear and you will cut this curb. Immediately you will go on 100% throttle and use all this exit like this. You can get an off track if you touch this dirt on the right side, so again you have to force the steering wheel to avoid the off track. The next corner is gonna be flat, just hit this inside curb and the outside curb, those are the two only references. Now for the next corner right here, braking point the number 2 board. At the number 2 I'm applying the brakes. You want to brake hard, you want to brake in a straight line. Don't stay too far on the right side because you can catch the grass and you will spin. It's better to have a margin here, so I'm not using this curb as you can see because it's a bit tricky. Now I'm gonna downshift to second gear and I'm looking at this grass here. I want to put my tire very close to the grass, like right now, and immediately, so you see the theme is like this: you arrive at the curb, then smash the throttle from the curb, keep that minimum speed up to have a good exit. And again here it's gonna be an off track on the dirt on the right side, so kind of the same thing, the same philosophy, force the steering wheel. Now for the carousel, in third gear I'm not downshifting to fourth, but in third gear just a small lift and then I'm picking back up. So look at the inputs here. So this is something that you should have in your mind. So you will put the car on the outside, you will drive on the left side, then after you hit the rev limiter, 1 second after, 2 seconds afterwards, you will turn and drop the throttle almost to 0 and then we'll pick it back up and stay to 100. If you see yourself doing too many corrections with the throttle, like dropping it, going back, dropping it, going back, that's not the way to go. You just want to do one thing: drop the throttle and then go back up to 100. So 100, 0, 100 again. That's the way to go. Now going into the last sector, this corner right here is flat, but you want to hit this curb. If you will miss it, if you won't put your tire on this curb, you will lose a bit of time, like 002, 003, but it can add up. Since this is straight, you can even lose half a tenth. So hit that apex, hit that curb on the inside, hit that curb on the outside. Now for the braking zone, you will brake after the number 3. So you see right now I'm applying the brakes. You brake quite hard, close to 100, brake in a straight line, keep the steering wheel straight, and then downshift to second before arriving at the curb. Hit the throttle at the curb, that's super important, and then go to 100. You will use all the track like this, that's fine. The next corner is gonna be flat. Just hit the right side curb before turning in to open up the corner as much as you can, and aim for the curb here on the inside. Upshift to fourth gear a bit later because you're going uphill, and if you will upshift to fourth gear a bit earlier, you will lose a bit of torque while going uphill. And for the last corner, my braking reference is slightly close to where this darker tarmac ends, or you can use a white line that's in front of the car, but it's a bit harder to spot while going quick, this white line. And looking more at this transition before the darker part of the tarmac and the lighter part, you want to brake in third gear, you want to use this curve to turn in on the left side, and you can even get away with third gear, but second gear is going to be a bit more consistent and you also have more torque. You're going to push the throttle before hitting the curb, and again we're going to use all this exit. And in short, that's a track guide with the GR86 at Road America. It's a very nice combo and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good battles. Thanks for watching. If you want to improve at a quicker pace, you can check out my sim racing course in the video description. It has a lot of value and it's really practical. And I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.